This review covers the Bikeriders. Just left theaters maybe an hour ago, if that. Bikeriders was good. I expected Sons of Anarchy out of it, the Mayans, that kind of vibe, but that wasn't the case. It was not closely related to either of those at all, only in the way that there were guys riding motorcycles. That's literally it. It's it's not very motorcycle gang-ish. First of all, a little bit of backstory. The Bikeriders is based on a photo book by photojournalist. I want to say his name is Danny Lyons. I know his last name is Lyons. I think his first name is Danny. The book was, so basically this guy joined, first of all, the Vandals is the motorcycle club in the movie. In real life, the motorcycle club that this was loosely based on was the Chicago Outlaws. Now, the book was done in the 60s, and the film, I think the book released 1968. The film makes it appear as the club had its roots also in the 60s, but the actual Outlaws Club started in the 30s or so. But again, of course, as with most things that are so-called based on a true story, it's most of the times it's loosely based. Names are changed, various characters are changed. It's not exact, of course. So the film is about a guy who's a truck driver who is Tom Hardy's character, Johnny, who is actually the president of the bike club, the founder of the bike club, the motorcycle club. He was watching a film and decided that he wanted to start a motorcycle club. Here's where it heavily differs from things like Sons of Anarchy and the Mayans. And I really feel like people who enjoyed Sons of Anarchy are going to go and watch this with those same, kind of like I did, thinking that this is going to be something close to that. I can assure you it is not in any way. Literally, the major similarities is that it's a bunch of guys riding motorcycles wearing leather jackets. There's some fights, but the core of what Sons of Anarchy is or was, this is nowhere near that. The trailer makes it look like it's extremely action-packed. It's not. This film is basically, so the guy Danny Lyons in real life who actually wrote or did the photo book. And if you don't know what a photo book is, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a book of mostly a bunch of photos, and there's descriptions here and there. But for the most part, it's not a novel. It's not meant to be reading material. It's meant to be an illustration of the creator's vision or his project. In this case, the guy was fascinated by the motorcycle club, the real individual and the guy in the movies, of course. He was fascinated by the motorcycle club, so he joined to do this project. Now, again, I'm gonna distinguish between and make sure I clearly distinguish between the real situation and the movie, because although it's not exact, me trying to explain it could possibly sound like I'm talking about either or at any given time, and I don't want to confuse you. So the real Danny Lyons in real life, he actually joined the Outlaws to do his project in the most authentic way possible. The guy in the movie did not. The guy in the movie was basically a college student who wanted to do a project about the motorcycle club because he was interested in it, and that was pretty much it. It's told through narration, the narration of the wife of one of the members. Not entirely though, right? You ever see those movies where it'll start with the scene and then somebody will say, "Oh, it all happened this way." And then it actually gets into the movie. So the whole thing is not narration. Generally what they do is they'll snap back to present time with that person. You get to really see that they're telling another person what happened. I can't think of another movie that's like that right off the top of my head. Maybe no, I don't think Shawshank Redemption was like that. I won't sit here and try to figure it out. But anyway, that's basically how it was. There were moments where we would flash back to the present time of her speaking to the photojournalist, and then back to the past, or us kind of real time seeing the story that she's telling. But this club, as far as the movie is concerned, they're not running guns like Sons of Anarchy. They're not running drugs like Sons of Anarchy. They're not a bunch of racists like a lot of the guys in Sons of Anarchy were. It's not that way. The club in the movie is just a bunch of chill dudes hanging out and riding bikes together. They do get rowdy and rambunctious. There are some fights here and there, but again, I'm harping on this because I know it looks very Sons of Anarchy-ish. So, getting back to the actual movie, the main character is Tom Hardy. He plays Johnny, who is the club's creator or founder. Again, he was watching a Marlon Brando movie and decided that he wanted to create a motorcycle club. That raises questions within my mind. Again, the story in real life is a bit different in a few ways. But I'm just thinking about how, because he actually got hard, like, pause. He actually got hard. He was a chill, not stay-at-home dad because he had a job, but he was a family man. Dude had a wife and 2 kids, 2 daughters at that, and he was just a chill family man. So how did you see this movie and you was like, all right, now I'm a G? I don't know how that transpired in his mind, but he played the part well. To call him a protege wouldn't be the correct terminology. There's a guy, young kid, Austin Butler. Austin Butler plays him, rather. His name's Benny in the film. Johnny takes to Benny because Johnny loves Benny's carelessness, right? So even though Johnny kind of started being a little gangster, he still had a wife. He still had 2 daughters. There's only so much gangster you could be, and you a whole family man with a job. He envied Benny admired Benny because Benny was a young guy, no strings on anything. He did what he wanted. He said what he wanted, whatever, right? The movie, again, if it follows the photojournalist, following the guys in the motorcycle club, following one of the guys' wife who's narrating what's happening. So essentially, the story is really about the photojournalist helping this woman to tell the story of the motorcycle club. It doesn't feel documentary-ish, so don't look at it that way. It's there's only small portions that seem to solely be interview-like. The movie also has Michael Shannon. He does an excellent job. He did a great job. I feel like he was underused. For who Michael Shannon is, I think he was underused. And the most underused character of all in this film, Norman Reedus, is in this movie. Now, some people only know Norman Reedus as Daryl from The Walking Dead. I know Norman Reedus back from the Boondock Saints. I love Norman Reedus. His AMC series called Ride on AMC. Every episode, he just is riding motorcycles across the country, sometimes in other countries, with a friend. That friend, a lot of times, is somebody also from the Walking Dead universe, or it's somebody that he's known for a long time and he's ridden with before. But Norman Reedus is, he's always on motorcycles. I had forgotten that he was actually in this movie. And then I was watching, as you know, as the opening credits were coming on, I saw his name and I got excited all over again. But his character was so underused. He's barely seen. Now, when he shows up, he's there, but he's not anywhere close to one of the main characters. So, with me enjoying Norman Reedus' performances as much as I do, and I skipped another role of his that I'm familiar with. This is back the first or second Blade movie. I think Whistler was always there. Maybe this guy was like Whistler's apprentice or something. Or maybe, I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen any of the Blade movies. But if you've seen the Blade movies and you also know Norman Reedus, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, he was underused. But I mean, you can't complain about most of that stuff because of the fact that this was loosely based on a true story. So there's only so much they can do with certain characters. I feel like the casting was great. If you stay, this is not a spoiler. If you stay to the end credits, they actually show some of the photos from the photo book. And this movie was cast so well that a lot of the photos that they show, you can clearly tell who it was. Like, they didn't do the side by side that some movies will do when they show photos of the actual people. They didn't do that, but like I said, it's cast so well, you know who was who for some of them. Overall rating, 7.5 to 8. Decent rating. I don't really have any complaints. Again, what can you say? It's based on a true story. You can't really, there's not much to complain about when something is based, when someone's trying to portray a mostly or even partially true story. You're kind of bound to certain parameters, right? Like, if we're making a movie about landing on Mars, then why are we talking about race cars? They don't go together, right? So there's only so much that they can do with or could have done with the characters in this film. But again, I'm pleased at this point. I'm rambling. Go see the Bikeriders if you enjoy motorcycles. I actually used to ride myself, but not much. I rode for a short time. I was never in a club or anything. I actually never even had the opportunity to ride with other people. I only had my motorcycle for about 2 years. I do intend to get another one. I would like to have some guys to ride with when that time comes. But so I've loved motorcycles for a long time. Like I said, I've watched Sons of Anarchy. I've watched the Mayans to completion for each of them. Again, I went to see this because I was expecting that type of action, that type of drama. And this was not it. I won't do what I generally do. Most of my most of my reviews once I finish with the general review, I'll do spoilers and things, but this time I won't do that. Again, go see the Bikeriders if you just want to see some good storytelling. That's what I'll say. I'll say that the storytelling here was good because we know that it was a real thing, and we're basically getting to relive that with them. So again, like, share, subscribe. See you on the next one.